Today's video is going to be tiny home versus tiny home on wheels. Let's get it on. Hey, thanks for tuning in to the channel today. We really appreciate it. And hey, if you haven't subscribed, Kris and I would be honored for you to subscribe, follow along with us on our channel. We'd really appreciate it. And then if you would, hit the notification button, and every time we post a video, you will be notified. And as always, please leave us a big thumbs up. So today we get to do something that we have never done before, and we thought this would be a really cool video. We've never stayed in a tiny home before, but we recently have had the opportunity to do so out at our favorite resort, the Ridge Outdoor Resort in Sevierville, Tennessee. So we get to break it down, and we thought, hey, you know what would be fun is if we broke down, let's compare tiny home on wheels, fifth wheel, to tiny home, and let's compare the two and just see which we like better at the end.
Yeah, but first, if you're wondering why we're spending time in a tiny home versus our RV, it's because our RV is actually in for some maintenance work, and we decided that it would be just a lot more fun to stay at the tiny home than a hotel.
Yeah, and we thought it'd be really, you know, we've seen, like maybe many of you have, we've seen videos on tiny homes and they look really cool. And so this was an opportunity for us to experience that and then share the experience with you guys and let you know what our thoughts are. So, okay, here we go. Let's start with a breakdown of living rooms. Tiny home living room. Tell me what you liked about the tiny home living room. Compare it to our fifth wheel living room, and then we'll tally up who we give it to.
Yeah, well, I'd say from a space standpoint, with our slides out, the living room in our RV is actually bigger than the tiny home living room. Although I love the residential couch that was in the tiny house, and you know, they've got lots of storage. It's definitely just a beautiful space. But if you're looking for inviting people over, having, you know, more than just the two of us, I would definitely say that our RV allows us to do that, where the tiny home really didn't. There were a couple of folding chairs, so you know, you could definitely have a few more folks in, but sitting on a folding chair versus a nice comfy sofa, the RV wins.
Yeah, I say the same thing, because as we sat in there and we would watch the TV, you have one couch, that's it. There was a couple extra chairs that you could pull out, but you were in that one tiny little area, and that was kind of it. And the thing about our fifth wheels, it's really nice. Like you said, we have a lot more seating room because we have the two love seats in the slides, and then our main entertainment sofa that faces the TV. Yeah, I say we go with the fifth wheel. I think the fifth wheel wins between those two things.
Yes.
Okay, so let's now break it down. We're going to get to the kitchen area. Fifth wheel versus tiny home. Go.
Oh, I definitely say our kitchen wins. We've got just, our kitchen is a lot of space. We've got an island in the center, you know, just like the tiny home, a beautiful residential fridge, but they're definitely, just the layout in our kitchen I love a lot more. Although the kitchen in the tiny home was beautiful. I mean, I wouldn't say it wasn't beautiful. I just, you know, if you're comparing, I would say I like our RV better.
Yeah, there again, you know, so the tiny home felt a little bit more like a home-ish, as far as, you know, a tiny home. The sidewalls looked like they were 2x6 construction, so it felt a little sturdier, you know, than
and beautiful
fifth wheel.
the shiplap that they had in there. I mean, it is definitely a nice space, and we get a lot of comments like, how high are your ceilings? Well, the ceilings in the tiny home were substantially taller.
Oh yeah,
than
probably
our
at
fifth
least
wheel, for
10
sure.
to 12 feet high. Yeah, probably. So yeah, they had the residential fridge. We have a residential fridge, so there's a comparison. The island in the center of our fifth wheel ends up giving us more counter space, ends up giving us a lot of counter space around the sides. And I noticed that when we were at the tiny home kitchen, counter space seemed to go away a lot faster. We'd fill it up a lot faster than what we even do in our fifth wheel. The range was a residential range. we got to give that over to the tiny house.
RV oven.
But actually, our convection oven microwave was bigger than the little microwave that came in the tiny home. I think overall, Kris is right. Like we just have a lot of room in that kitchen, which is why we chose that floor plan in the first place. So I say it goes to the fifth wheel.
Definitely.
Once again, although the tiny home kitchen was
beautiful, and there was a lot of storage space too.
Yeah, and super nice. Now the one thing, let's compare this back to the kitchen. So like our kitchen table is like a bar. Really, it's not like a kitchen table. That kind of ties the tiny home because that's what they had. They had like a table with bar stools, so you can only sit two people. And ours is ours as well. So now we're going to get to the bathroom of the tiny home versus the bathroom in our fifth wheel. What do you think?
So obviously a residential toilet is always a little bit nicer, and we do actually have a porcelain toilet in our RV.
And it's a little bit bigger than a normal fifth wheel toilet too.
But the tiny home had your standard it had your standard toilet, which was nice, and the counter space was kind of comparable to actually what we have in our fifth wheel, but the cupboards were definitely deeper. So from a storage standpoint, I would say the bathroom storage in the tiny home definitely beats the fifth wheel. And initially, we actually thought we liked the shower in the tiny home better than our fifth wheel. Our fifth wheel has a bench in it, and so the bench takes up kind of a chunk of the shower space. But what we determined was, hey, you know, if you got to shave your legs, or I'm
shaving my legs all the time, guys.
That bench actually comes in handy. And I do love the fact that we've got that window in the ceiling, a skylight in our bathroom, so that lets in a lot of light, which I really do like. Both of the bathrooms had, both of the tiny house and the RV both had instant hot water, which was nice, so we could take long showers.
It's funny, I think RVers have a love-hate relationship with the skylight, because the skylight definitely does let in light, but boy, it is like a magnifying glass, and you feel like you are the ant getting singed.
Yeah.
It does get really hot, but you know what? I do like it that the light is there in the bathroom as well. And like Kris said, we have tankless hot water in our fifth wheel. They had tankless a hot water heater there, so that's a wash. Counter space, pretty comparable, like Kris said, but I have to give it to our bathroom in the fifth wheel. I still like that better. You guys are like biased. You keep picking your fifth wheel all the time.
But hey, I would stay in that tiny home over and over again, given the opportunity, based on our situation.
Yeah.
Over a hotel in a heartbeat.
Exactly. Okay, so that leaves us to our last room in the tiny home. And we should say this too, because we should have said this at the top. Sorry. The tiny home is 43 feet long, and it's 9 feet 7 inches wide. So our fifth wheel is 44 feet long, and it's 8 feet wide. Of course, you put the slides out, you get the extra room.
And we have 5 slides, so that adds a whole lot of square footage.
Yeah, slides really open up your space in an RV, which helps a lot. Okay, so let's get to the master bedroom in the tiny home versus the master bedroom in our fifth wheel. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, probably from a size standpoint, they were pretty comparable, I would say, because ours is definitely a little narrower because one of our slides is a closet, so the front of the closet is the wall. So our master bedroom would be narrower. We have a substantial amount of storage space, with which that bedroom, it did have a closet. It was a small closet, but I would say that the RV had more storage space, and we have the fireplace in our RV as well. And obviously both had a TV, which, I guess you would say that was somewhat standard. But yeah, so if I had to pick between the two, I would definitely say our bed is far more comfortable. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'd say probably my least favorite thing about that tiny house was the bed. And, we have a very comfortable bed with our VISCOSOFT.
I know, I told Kris, I said we should have took our memory foam topper off of our RV bed, brought it with us to use at the tiny home.
Yeah, it definitely would have made for better sleeping, but definitely the RV bedroom.
And I have to agree with Kris for a lot of the same things. Number one, you know, the mattress in the tiny home, whatever. It's a mattress. I get it. You know, we're supposed to be a little bit roughing it, but overall, though, I think the RV wins it in the bedroom area too. Although, let me tell you guys something. We both agree that if you had to pick a tiny home to stay in versus a hotel room, it's not even a contest.
Yeah.
I mean, the tiny home is amazing. We loved it that we had all of our own personal space, and we loved it because we got to stay at the Ridge, which is our favorite place. And it was a little weird, you know, not having Big Blue and staying at a campground. That did kind of feel a little bit weird, but at the same time, it was really nice that we could be there and still walk the grounds. And it's such a beautiful place. It's one of our favorites. But we had never stayed at a tiny home, and so we thought, hey, let's make a video. That's what our channel's about MK Experience, is sharing our experiences with you guys. And shout out to everybody at the Ridge Outdoor Resort. They're fantastic, just as usual. That thing was spick and span and clean and in good shape, and we enjoyed it.
Okay, the one thing that we didn't mention that definitely topped our RV was there was a great deck with the view of the Smokies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, with some really nice chairs and a gas fireplace. So right at your front door, you had that, which obviously, you know, if you have a patio next to your RV, you can have a similar setup, but it was definitely nice being able to just walk out your front door and have that view with the gas fireplace being right there.
Yeah, and I could see why so many people say, hey, I want to get one of those to live in. I mean, you'd have to do something for storage space, because there's not a lot of storage space, but man, I tell you what, they're built really well, and I can see why a lot of people do purchase those. I think for us though, we like the tiny home on wheels because we like to be able to take it to a lot of different places. Obviously, if you buy one of those, you're setting up in a stationary space. Although if we had some property by a lake, I don't know, you know, you might be like, hey, you know, purchasing a tiny home and putting it there on the lake and keeping the fifth wheel, you know, with the wheels to go out and explore. They're really cool.
They are. I mean, the other thing I would say as well is, for like this particular tiny home too, slept too comfortably. So for the size, for somebody that had a toy hauler with a bunk room and kids, yeah, that would hands down win it. But, you know, that was that particular tiny home. They do have a tiny home on the campground that sleeps more
than just two. Yeah, so you can get them bigger, you know. That's true too. The one that we stayed in, yeah, it's two adults, and I don't know, maybe if you had a baby you could have a porta crib, you know, kind of a scenario. But we enjoyed it, we liked it. Technically, maybe you can't compare the two, maybe it's not even fair to compare the two, but we decided we'd do a comparison just because we thought it'd be cool. You know, for us, we kind of got to wrap our heads around like a tiny home for the first time and feel that space and what it feels like to be inside there. Overall, you're not going to go wrong with a tiny home.
Yeah, and we work in Tennessee, we live in North Carolina, and we have to drive through the mountains in the winter, so we've made the decision that we don't want to pull our RV across the mountains. We just, you know, we don't want to risk driving in the snow or bad weather, so during the winter months, you know, we'll stay in a hotel, and we would definitely go back and stay in that tiny home. Yeah,
for sure. It was a great experience. Beautiful, beautiful tiny home. It was amazing. So we're not knocking it by any means, because it is amazing. So I guess you could say, well, maybe you made the right choice in picking your RV because you sure like it.
Yeah.
we
definitely,
yeah, we definitely love Big Blue, and we enjoy it. So hey, we want to thank you guys for watching today, and with that we say God bless
and safe travels.